Hey guys. I just got finished doing the fire signs finally for my 2023 readings for my other channel. And I kind of thought I wanted to talk a little bit about Pluto in Aquarius because, I've lived with Pluto and Aquarius energy my whole life. I have Pluto in my ascendant, and I'm an Aquarius sun and an Aquarius stellium. I also have it in my Mars, I have it in my Mercury, and I really did feel like I didn't fit in when I was young. I never really understood the pressure that my parents put on me to think that my only goal in life is to go to college, get a degree, make money. It never made sense to me. When I was really young, my values were really more of just like, I would love to be married and have children. And it sounded very, what do you call it, classical, like the old-timey roles of women, which is actually kind of disappearing, where, a lot of us women don't have the option to live that way, even if we wanted to. And it's like, yes, women should definitely have the right to do whatever they want to do and not have to be a stay-at-home housewife or anything. But a lot of us women have actually been getting very, very sick. Not only from the pressures to do everything that men do plus more, but also because there's so much narcissism that's so rampant, and there's so much gaslighting. There's medical gaslighting. There's gaslighting by so many people in our families and upbringing and in school systems and the government and media that, if you combine all of the stress and pressures that are being put on women, a lot of us are very, very sick. Autoimmune diseases and whatnot is just through the roof, right? I know, I'm a spoonie. I am in a lot of pain all the time. And I've learned to manage it, but I understand that it is from years of fight or flight. And when I was in situations that I just couldn't get out of. And even though I'm out of those situations now, my body doesn't understand. Like, even if my rational mind understands it, certain things can still trigger my body too. Like, my body can't tell the difference in between being excited for happy reasons and anxiety and fear. Like, anything that spikes any adrenaline, even if it's for positive joy, it hurts. It hurts. It really does. And, back to the whole point of it is like, and how different I was, is I never understood the pressure either to go to college. Like, both my parents went to college, and neither one of my mom's parents did. They dropped out of high school at like 14 or junior high, so they can work in factories. And my dad, only his dad graduated college. His mom dropped out of school at 14 to be a waitress, And so, my parents are from that generation where they really saw, you need to go to work, you need to get a degree, and da-da-da-da. And I was already seeing, I'm like the oldest millennial, okay? I was born in the very beginning of 81. So, like, I kind of felt like my millennial status got stolen by the younger millennials, because they're all the ones they talk about on the media for the last several years. And like, since I'm literally so close to being a Gen X, it's like, I graduated in 99 from high school. We were literally we thought we were the millennials because we were ushering in the new millennium as adults. And we saw this whole new world. Like, we knew we were actually becoming adults in the transition of the millennium, and it was a big responsibility. We all felt this big pressure to make radical changes, and yet we felt like there was nothing we could do about it, right? And anyway, it's so weird because as much pressure as there was to like go to work, it caused depression in me when I was young. Yes, part of my depression was from having been abused by someone, but a lot of it too was like, I didn't understand why people think that the American dream, because, I'm from America. I know most of y'all know that, but, you can tell my accent, right? Or not, whatever. I don't know. But, I can understand the whole work to spend to spend to work, to work to spend to spend to work, to work to spend to work. Like, it's like, what is this? For thousands upon thousands of years, kids didn't have to go to school and be told 8 hours a day, sit down, shut up, do as you're told. I watch how bad my kids are mistreated when I put them in public school. Like, I got to homeschool them some when they were younger because my son was sick a lot. And then when COVID came, I had pulled them back out, and they were so mistreated again. They were like targeted because if you didn't come to school when they were allowed to come back in and do all the protocols and everything else, and you chose to do virtual, they started to bully those kids. And my straight A gifted, daughter started making bad grades because they were targeting her to try to force her to go back to class so they could get more tax dollars. And so we decided to pull them out completely. We're like, you know what? Y'all are old enough. You can homeschool yourself at home even. This is ridiculous at this point. And, I watched the way my son was treated in school, and they treat every boy like they're potential, like, terrorists, and he can't even have a backpack in class. And it's just, they don't let the kids go to the bathrooms. They have less than 3 minutes to get from one campus to another, and they can't go to the bathroom. What about girls on their periods? They force the kids to pick their tardies. Like, which class, you get 3 tardies in my class a year. If you want to go to the bathroom, you have to use it. Do you see what I mean? They're abusing kids in school on a daily basis, right? And so I was really depressed, and I struggled a lot with trying to understand my place in society. And I feel like, this is what people are doing as a collective right now as they're moving into Pluto and Aquarius. Because you have all of these articles talking about how, like, the Gen Zers and the younger millennials don't understand the point of working. They're like, why? We don't make as much as our parents did for doing the same job. Technically they're making more, but they're making way less because minimum wage isn't going up, and yet the cost of inflation is so bad that literally people can't even afford to pay their bills unless they live in groups, like where 3 or 4 people buy a house together, or people are forced to live with their parents and vice versa and stuff, And they're like, why are we motivated to do anything? And in a way, I don't blame them, but they also have to be willing to sacrifice the perks if they're not willing to do mundane work, That's the one thing that I feel like I always was willing to literally live in the dang woods like a Viking, or like a, what do you call it? Like the Druids and the Celts and the Scandinavians, and like, I know that, like, Viking technically a job and they did ships and whatever, but like, I literally would prefer that. Like, I love nature. Like, it's like I've told the kids before, if the shit hit the fan, I could totally dig it, I definitely wouldn't want to be living in the hot South though, right? But the Americas just sucks because it's like, we don't have a temperate climate, like, certain parts of Europe and stuff. So like, it gets so hot and it gets so cold. But I'm like, yeah, I could do it. It's like, we'll miss luxuries like toilet paper or like, music and stuff. And then you listen to some of this Nordic folk music, and I'm sorry, but there is some amazing badass music that need no technology whatsoever. And anyway, I just feel like, even though I do see the point of a lot of Gen Zers and millennials not understanding the point of working, they also have to be willing to understand, how much time do you spend on your cell phone playing? How much time do you spend wanting to order Uber Eats or, DoorDash and get your food delivered to you and all this stuff? Because if you want all of these little perks, if everyone's quitting their jobs, who's going to work for you so that you can sit at home and just say, que sera, sera? If you're wanting to let the system collapse, you have to quit participating in it, And I think some people are, sort of, a lot of them are concerned about the environment, whatnot. And I think that's a great thing to be concerned about the environment. The only problem is we're tackling all the wrong stuff. And our governments are like the biggest narcissistic gaslighters. Like, they're wanting to put all the burdens on us. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're bad and we should change the way you use energy in your home, and you should change the way you drive your cars and all this stuff. And it's like, why don't we start with the fact that when I lived on the Gulf Coast in Houston, when I was a little kid, you could go to the shrimp boats and buy fresh Gulf shrimp for $1 or $2 a pound, okay, in southern Louisiana. By the time we moved back to Houston, I lived in West Texas for a while, and then in Northeast Texas, moved down to Houston. You go to all the seafood restaurants in Houston and Galveston, guess what? Most of the crawfish and the shrimp is from China. How is this environmentally friendly? People, tell me. They're shipping shrimp from fucking the other end of the world to us. And guess where our Gulf shrimp is going? Vegas. Yeah, Vegas. Vegas is probably one of the most like environmentally draining cities. I don't know how they justify living there. They have to pump water in. They take food like our Gulf Coast shrimp and stuff. Yeah, and how I found out about this is because my parents were going to fly to Vegas to take my grandparents. You know, my grandparents were getting older and they wanted to treat them because, you know, my grandmother is one of those who's like obsessed with slot machines and stuff because they lived in Mississippi and like they just go to Biloxi and they just do slot machines all day long, which I'm like, I couldn't do that. But, I need to pump my neck. But long story short, they had, one of the stewardesses or whatever had told my parents that Southwestern doesn't make most of their money on the people flying. That's why the flights are so cheap. It's the seafood they're shipping to Vegas that's making Southwest most of the money. I'm sorry, but I really think if we're going to start with caring about the environment, this here is a Pluto Aquarius person talking, and we're going to enter Pluto Aquarius. So I feel like, you know, yes, there may be some really intense revolutions happening, just like in the original Pluto and Aquarius hundreds of years ago. But it's also positive because we have to start playing offense, okay? If there's one thing I've learned about narcissists, you have all of these people giving you advice about narcissists on TV. And they're always saying, ooh, don't make a narcissist angry. Don't give them a narcissistic injury. Ooh. I'm sorry, but I'm a Sigma empath, okay? I know how to do this. I've done it before. Narcissists always try to flip things around and make it your fault. No matter what it is, that is their number one manipulation tactic. They deflect, they blame shift, and they make sure, like if you confront them over something, they'll be like, well, you da-da-da-da, well, you blah, 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 blah. Do not fall for it. Our governments are consistently trying to distract us from how destructive they are, okay? You look at how our governments subsidize shit food. They subsidize monocultures that are destroying the soil. They're absolutely destroying the oceans. All the nitrogen from these monoculture grains and things are actually killing coral reefs and stuff. They're subsidizing this shit junk because of the oligarchy that's hidden behind these governments. I don't care if you have a democracy or a socialist country or whatever. Most of them are run by the big R family who even runs the monarchy and everything. And they're getting filthy, stinking rich off of what they're doing. And they know they are. And they're getting rich destroying the earth, raping the earth on repeat, okay? And then they want to turn around and make it our fault. I'm sorry, but I have no interest in going to the local store and buying shit from China. I just don't. I can't even remotely understand why we think it's okay when they treat their own citizens the way that they do. How is it okay? You know? And it's like, I mean, that is just one example. The way we treat the environment. Okay, you look at like Bill Gates and all of these creepy rich elites. How they want to separate us from animals. Completely. Animals are vital to our survival. They are vital to our wisdom. They are vital to our ability to handle nature. You don't take animals away. You treat them right. You know, are these, factory farms okay? Oh, fuck no. But you don't take animals away. How did homesteaders and indigenous cultures around the world live healthy with the environment? They worked with animals. You go to an old-fashioned homestead and you look at archaeology and they had a cycle where they knew certain animals they were extremely good at making manure that built the soil up, that grew extremely rich and fertile foods and fruits and vegetables that had so many vitamins that were vital to us. And then we took care of the animals. Animals eaten for meat was not that common in the old days. You ate meat on occasion. You know, you would prefer the animal for its milk or its eggs, and you ate meat on occasion. Like when you have too many roosters, you kill off the bad rooster, so you eat the chicken then. You don't grow all chickens just to eat chickens. Milk, when you have cows that have milk, yes, you milk the cow, but you don't milk it so much that the baby can't drink the milk. You know, cows make great fertilizer. Chickens do too. Chickens are some of the hardest workers I know. I have chickens. I mean, if you were to move the chickens behind the other grazing animals like sheep and cattle, the chickens scratch and they break down very hard lumps of manure and grass and compost, and they break it down into something workable that you can add to your gardens, okay? Animals are vital to our future. We cannot remove them from us. As a matter of fact, more of us need to quit our freaking jobs and start homesteading. You know, I'm like a hippie homesteader or something, because I don't fit in with most of the YouTube homesteaders who are all like Bible belters and uber, you know, conservative and everything. I'm not. I know the truth. I've studied it a million times. I've studied veganism. I have studied the consumers. Most vegans are massive consumers. They spend tons of money destroying the environment, and they think that they're doing a favor. Okay, not all. Some of them are very, very determined to have permaculture and food forests and things like that. But many of them are just, they're deluded and they're deceived by people like Bill Gates, who are like thinking, oh, if you're a consumer, everything is okay. Keep spending that dollar, baby. Okay, what are you people thinking? Again, this is a Pluto Aqua talking. This is energy coming in. We want to change the environment. We want to change our governments. We want to make a difference. We want to get in touch with nature again. We want to do what's right. We want to have a moral standard that's right. We're sick and tired of the religious political oppression, okay? All of these religious people that are, like, say, I was raised in the South with very conservative Christians. Everything is wrong. My tarot cards are wrong and they're evil. And this one guy commented once on my thing that we're all deceived by Azazel and all this shit. And I'm just like, okay, Jesus said himself, there is no law that can stand against love, okay? Love is the highest thing. Nothing stands against the law of love, okay? That is the highest law, period. If what you're doing is for love, by love, through love, no law can stand against it. I actually think specifically that quote was probably Paul or something. But Jesus spoke about love all the time. And he said, those who are not against us are for us. What part of this are Christians not getting? It's amazing how they can't walk on water like Jesus did, but he said, if you believe in me, you can do even greater things than me. They don't believe in him enough to even produce a single miracle in their lifetime, but they can point fingers at everyone and judge people and oppress them because they're not just like them. Okay? See, this is me, Pluto Aqua, man, calling people's bullshit out. Now, I was looking on my board. Let me see. Okay, so we knew that France also revolted when Pluto was in Aqua. Oh yes, commitment to do right. I wish I could remember that website because I looked at so many websites. But when they're saying when Pluto's in Aquarius, people are very committed to do right. But I also want to warn people because Pluto has a dark undercurrent. While people were busy fighting for freedom, these type of like Rothschild-like families, the Rockefeller type families were actually making a lot of money underhandedly, dirty. There are people that are going to try to profit off of this. Why do you think the government's doing what they're doing? Why they're trying to punish us and have all of these taxes? So you guys know, like, okay, it's so funny in this country, in America, like they think that big oil is a conservative thing. And they think that, you know, if you're a liberal, you're against big oil, and the government makes people think that, but that's not true. Most people that are invested in big oil are actually, like extreme leftists. I know, my dad's a petroleum engineer. He worked for investors who were so far left, it's not funny, okay? You look at ExxonMobil and stuff, they have all of these laws and rules and things in place that are extremely ultra left, okay? I'm not making fun of the left. I'm not making fun of the right. I'm trying to tell you that this is a game they're playing, okay? The government pretends that big oil is bad, mean, conservatives, and we are the savior, so we're going to tax them a lot. No. They're taxing oil a lot because they're getting rich off of it, people. They're making billions off of taxing oil. It's all a game. They want you mad at big oil, so the government has excuses to tax it more to make more money, to make a profit off of it, okay? Trust me, they could have so many more solutions by now. It's like I said, if they really cared about the environment, why the fuck are they shipping food from China over here? Why? How much oil could we save? How much of the environment could we save if we didn't have shit being shipped in from China, having these clogged up ports, and then them getting on trains and tugging it all along trains all over the nation, and then it being shipped with big rig trucks to this warehouse and then to this store and then shipped to your house? It is disgusting. and I really did. I weighed out in my head, is being a vegan better or is being a homesteader better? And I realized the healthiest thing for the environment is going native. Wherever you're at, like if you live in Alaska, it actually is better to almost eat more meat and live off the land as a hunter, because there's not a lot of other, like you can, certain parts of Alaska you can grow more than others. I have watched all types. And if you're living off of the land and eating meat and you're living in that environment, it really is better for the environment than having some consumerist agenda and shipping food up there to you. And then, where I live, I very rarely buy seafood anymore. I live in the Ouachita Mountains. I live several hours away from the coast, and it's hard to get coastal seafood anyway. And because of it, I know it's not sustainable to be buying seafood that's shipped in from all over the world. I don't buy much meat anymore, because I just don't feel like it's sustainable. It's not. And I try to grow as much of my own food as I can. And I still purchase things. I'm still a consumer too. But if we all did our part, if we all had our own gardens, if we all had some backyard chickens with eggs, and I'm sorry, but some vegans really get mad at you even eating eggs. I love my happy chickens. It is the most enjoyable thing to see these cute, adorable, fun chickens who love each other and have severe bonds. Not severe, like these extreme, intense bonds. It's hard to explain, but I have a rooster, and there's this one chicken that they were raised together, and I had sold some of the other babies from them because I had too many. He was a little egg that got kicked out of a nest, okay, by a cochin. Long story if you don't know the breeds, whatever, but he didn't hatch, or I knew he was alive, but she was thinking it was a bad egg. Let's put it that way. She thought it was a bad egg. She kicked it out because it was dirty. I put it in the incubator, and he's the only one that hatched in time. I put another egg or two in there so he wouldn't be alone. And the one that he bonded with, this other chicken, is the way they cuddle and sleep together to this day, and they're so much closer than they are with any of the other chickens and things. You watch how happy they are, and they any extra leftover food I have, I'm not going to give them nasty food, but say we have scraps and vegetables and fruit and things, give this stuff to them, and they break it down and they make amazing compost for the garden, and we grow more delicious food. Rabbits are also amazing. You can have just 1 or 2 rabbits, and their poop, it literally is so good. Their poop and their urine is so good. And it's you can throw the rabbit manure directly onto your plants and watch them just go wild with with growth, and it's full of nutrition, and they're adorable and they're fun. Come on. This is I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is our time to stand up against collective narcissism. The ideas I have, some of the stuff I'm saying may seem so far-fetched to you guys. It may seem so against everything that you know. But this is the reality and the mindset I've had my whole life, trying to understand how to be the best person I can be, how to take care of the environment, how to be a spiritual person, be in touch with nature. What is the best way to go about things? It is having integrity. It is putting love first. It isn't letting religious or spiritual or political oppression define you. Collective oppression define you, the way the school system raises people that says they're anti-bully, and then they bully people all the time. They reward narcissism in school systems. They reward narcissism massively on Facebook. I quit Facebook because I notice how if someone posts something like their profile pic, or oh, I just had this wedding, or oh, I just did any braggy stuff, Facebook will allow the algorithm to show it to more people. So then they get applause, then it feeds their ego. But if they post anything that goes against the narrative, anything challenging the status quo, anything that sounds a little bit offensive, or not even offensive, just different, nobody sees it. They literally hardly have anyone see it, because the algorithm is designed to promote narcissism. It rewards narcissism. It's sick. What was I thinking? I want to see if there's anything I wrote down. I don't want to forget. Okay, yes. This is one thing I was going to say too, is that if any of you people have been sick, chronically sick, from fight or flight diseases and autoimmune diseases and fibromyalgia and things like that, you need to ask yourself, how much are you transmuting other people's crimes? How much do you take on? How many times have your parents, your partner, your school system, your employer, your government, your social media, your media network put blame on you? constantly projecting onto you their baggage. How many toxic people cannot handle their own load? So they take their baggage shit and they dump it on you, and then you take it home and you feel like shit and you're sitting there processing it. You might not sit there and actually say, oh, I'm such a bad person. Oh, I'm just not a good enough wife. Or, oh, I'm not a good enough employee. Or, oh, I'm not a good enough American. Or whatever. But if you're at home ruminating, going, why did they treat me like that? Why are they so mean? Why are they doing this? And how do I make them not get mad next time I go to work? And how do I avoid people getting mad at me on social media when I post something? How do I avoid, if you're constantly trying to figure out how to tiptoe and walk on those eggshells, you are taking on their baggage. That's a them problem. It is not a you problem. I have learned from experience. If you have to verbally walk around your house and say, I'm giving it back, I'm giving it back, I'm giving it back. This is yours. This is yours. This is yours. Do not let yourself get sick and die transmuting other people's bullshit. You deserve better than that. You should be using your energy transmuting things for healing and for love and creating a better future for others. Yes, the future may be hard. Things may get hard as Pluto enters Aqua, okay? As you can see, the governments are tripping out. They're all flipping out on each other. They're, constantly causing division. I'm like, oh my God, my dad watches so much Fox News. It's like the older he gets, the more racist and sexist he sounds. And I'm like, could you just back off from it a little bit? Do you know Fox is also owned by liberals? They're owned by the same people that own other liberal content. They're actually grooming you to be racist, to be homophobic. They want you that way because then it keeps division. It creates a massive division. It's easy to control people when they're divided. House divided can't stand. It's not any better watching CNN. They're just as bad. They promote a bunch of hatred and stuff too. But it's like, get off the freaking news. Get off the social media, okay? Do something healthy for you and the environment. Start buying local and sustainable and growing your own food when you can. Learn to live with less money and more creatively. Go thrifting for your clothes. Don't be buying new, fast fashion so that it just ends up being dead white man's clothes is what they call it in Africa. I had this one lady say, I like to flip clothes sometimes and sell them on Poshmark, and I don't do it that much because it takes a lot of energy out of me since I am a spoonie. But one lady was like, well, we send that stuff to Africa because her husband works for one of these places and you don't need to buy it and flip it. I'm like, look, I just like to find unique pieces that are going to get thrown in the trash. I don't want to just make a high profit by ripping people off, but if it's a really beautiful, unique item that's going to get tossed, and yes, it does get thrown in the trash when it's sent to Africa, it's in landfills they do not have the infrastructure to take care of, then if I can sell it and make a couple of dollars off of it, and I take care of it, and I clean it, and I make sure it's in good shape, I get to have fun thrifting, and I also get to see, does it fit me? And if it doesn't fit me, I gave money to a resale shop, and I can also sell it to someone who can't find that piece anywhere else. And that's the first time they found the piece they were looking for. Do you see what I'm saying? And yes, I do have issues with I know that we are wasteful when it comes to shipping and stuff. And man, if I had a she shed, I would keep all the supplies from stuff that's shipped to me. Because I live in the middle of nowhere. So when I order stuff, there's so much waste in the shipping. And I'm like, if I could keep all of this stuff and reuse it. And we do thankfully have a recycling program where we're at. But it's just, I don't know. We all have a very long way to go. We can't just 100% drop consumerism or judge people who have to be a consumer. But what can we do to make a difference? We need to start there. That's all we need to do is just start there. Let's start having spiritual integrity. Let's start caring about things. And do not play defense with the government. Do not play defense of narcissists in your life. Play offense. You always, when you play offense, you have some cards up your sleeve. Next time the government points fingers at you and tells you what's wrong with you, you flip it back on them and say, why are you doing ABCD? Fix that first, bitch. You see what I'm saying? We need to actually take our power back. That's what Pluto and Aquarius is. I love you guys. I bless you. Until next time.